Hello everyone, this tarot reading is focusing on avoidance. A slightly uncomfortable topic, but this is one of the reasons why I love tarot. So the cards don't just show, what is happening. They're also here to help us understand why we've been stuck or hesitant or fearful or putting something off. So my hope is that this reading actually brings clarity for you, or encouragement, or kind of a gentle push forward if there's something in your life that you have been avoiding. Now, I'm looking at 5 questions, which are what you have been avoiding, why it feels difficult, what happens if you continue avoiding it, what changes when you face it, and your next step, okay? So, what have you been avoiding? And you've got the World and the Nest card. And it says on the Nest card, an emotionally secure, loving family is important to you. Now, what I find incredibly fascinating, even though I'm not going to include it in the spread, is that at the bottom of the deck, the Fool's there. Now, the World, the Nest, and the Fool all share the same sacred shape, okay, which is the circle, the egg, the womb of creation. Now, spiritually, an egg represents potential waiting to emerge, an ending and a beginning happening at the same time. So this feels like a transition. One chapter Madonna has completed, but the new chapter is not fully hatched yet. And you're in this in-between space where transformation is happening beneath the surface. The old shell has become too small for who you're becoming, but you haven't fully stepped into that new life yet. So, a bit of an uncomfortable, gushy, yucky, slimy stage at the moment. Bless you. So, what else? Oh yeah, with the World, there's another thing that's standing out to me, is the way that the World was looking at the King of Cups, again reversed. Now, you've got the King of Cups reversed in the Battle Oracle card that says, take care, enemies are working against you. To me, this tells me what you're avoiding is not just a task or a decision. You may be avoiding the vulnerability of starting again. New people, new surroundings, new opportunities, or a new version of yourself. For some of you, this could be applying for a new job, starting a new business, moving, trusting new people, or finally leaving a chapter that has already run its course. The cards acknowledge how much you've already carried, okay? Especially with the World and the Ten of Wands being there. It's kind of like, I feel like these emotional cords are still attached to the past. So I'm not sure if you're still in contact with people or you're just thinking about everything. I'm not sure. But stress, pressure, memories, disappointments, and responsibilities have been really weighing heavily on you. And with the Fool as well, I'm not going to mention it again, but the Fool at the bottom of the deck, there is this genuine, it's like this genuine fear of being a beginner again, starting over, rebuilding, and kind of trusting life again when you're already exhausted, burnt out, drained, fed up. So even though I just mentioned why it's a little bit difficult for you, this section here is why it feels difficult. And you've got the Lovers, and I kind of like what I picked up with this because first of all, it didn't make sense, and then it just clicked. Now, strong Gemini energy here, and as a fellow Gemini myself, I think I understand what the message is. I kind of get with this, undecisive, okay, you're not sure, which can be the Lovers, okay, it's all to do with choices and alignment and everything like that. Now, what caught my attention was, I didn't realise that until I kind of was thinking about it, but the way that I've placed the cards, the oracle cards, makes sense. Bear with. You've got the feminine side, okay? I'm going to shorten this down because I can go a little bit deeper, but I'll talk for too long. So I'm going to shorten it down. You've got the feminine side and you've got the masculine side. Now, look at this oracle card here. Look at how relatable it is to that feminine side. How the female in the Lovers card is looking up to the angel. Next to there, you've got June, the angel. You've got flowers. You've got growth. You've got love. Nice, soft, beautiful energy here. Okay, almost angelic, right? Now, the female side represents in the Lovers card, again shortening it down, growth, intuition, love, and the path that feels right on the soul level. Now, on the masculine side, you've got the Queen. Money will be coming to you, right? Very masculine side. That's how it is with this card, okay? Now, the masculine represents money, security, stability, practical concerns, and the things the world often tells us are the most important, yeah? You've got to have this brand new Apple phone. You've got to have this watchy thing. You've got to have this new car and this house and this all this shit. Which, yeah, you know, it's good, but it's that very 9 till 5, and it's very just, I don't know. So to me, I kind of get this devil and angel on the shoulder type of energy. One side is saying follow what feels right and aligned, and follow what lights you up, follow what your soul is calling you towards, the feminine side. And the other side is really saying to you, like, what about the money? Yeah? What about the security? What if it's safer just to stay where you are? Do that 9 to 5 job. Have that tiny bit of security. Yeah? So the guidance isn't to, ignore the practical responsibilities. It's really to ask yourself whether fear of change has actually become louder than that quiet voice of your heart. This is a choice between safety and alignment, between what looks sensible on the outside and what feels deeply right on the inside, okay? Very Gemini energy, very back and forth, not entirely sure. And I feel that's why it's difficult. You're not sure which one to choose, okay? Now, what happens if you continue avoiding it? You've got the Strength card clarified with a table, hard work ahead. Now, if you continue avoiding this decision or next step, the energy generally just becomes heavier, my darling, and harder. The Strength card isn't allowed power. It's the effort required to keep everything under control. Now, think about this. Think about the thing that, keeps returning to your mind, or the conversation you keep postponing, or the application you haven't set, or the boundary you haven't set, or the change you know is needed. Avoiding it doesn't make it disappear. It simply continues using your emotional energy, and that's hard. I don't know, that's exhausting. So over time, that can lead to burnout and frustration and feeling really stuck and just hard and difficult to move. Yeah. Now, what changes when you face it? And you've got the King of Cups reversed with the bat, and it says, take care, enemies are working against you. Now, at first glance, these cards do look challenging. Yep, I see that. But I also actually see something very empowering here. Now, to me, I like bats. I can tell you some stories about some bats. But bats, to me, represent awareness, okay? So I feel like when you finally face what you've been avoiding, you will begin to see clearly, which thoughts, people, habits, or environments have been draining you. The King of Cups reverse feels like taking your emotional power back. And instead of feeding fear, doubt, and old wounds, you become more intentional with your energy. So this can look like setting those boundaries, making those decisions, asking for help, or finally taking action on something that you've delayed for quite some time, okay? And as you do, what actually happens is that your energy begins to return. You feel clearer, more motivated, and more emotionally in control, okay? Now, the next step, you've got the Ten of Wands, which is clarified by the Elephant. A long journey, either physical or mental, will leave you wiser at the end. So, I feel this is like the emotional heart of this reading, because the Ten of Wands is really saying and confirming to me, you, my darling, have been carrying this for so long, okay, and this has been hard for you. So your next step is not to carry more of this, okay? It's time to begin putting some of that weight down. So that may mean releasing guilt, old expectations, painful memories, draining connections. I don't know why, but I feel like you've still got these cords attached to these people for some reason. Or accepting, some chapters, my darling, are truly over. The Elephant reminds you that this journey, whether physical, emotional, spiritual, has made you wiser. So the cards are not asking you to have your entire future figured out today. Your next step may simply be, a small action. Send that application, make that phone call, have that conversation, researching your options, or take the next step towards the life that you keep thinking about, okay? Especially with that bit there. Oh, definitely. Anyways, and actually, yeah, that brings me back to that egg symbolism. The shell that once protected you eventually become the thing that confines you. And at some point, the soul has to crack the shell from inside and emerge into a larger life, okay? So, this reading feels less about avoiding a specific task, and I feel more than anything it's about avoiding a transition. And I feel many of you have been really carrying the weight of an old chapter for so long that the idea of starting again just feels extremely overwhelming. I don't want to say it's simple, but I feel the message really is release what no longer belongs to your future. Listen to what your heart keeps guiding you towards, my darling, more than anything, and take one small practical step forward. You do not need to have the whole journey mapped out. You just need to begin. All right. I hope this has helped, and you have a good day. Bye bye.